Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm trying to merge. Okay, T, I just merged you there, so you should be better with your sound. Okay. All right, we're ready. Awesome. Well, I'm Azul for Love. You probably all knew that since you're here on a Saturday afternoon or evening, sharing your beautiful, precious Saturday with me, which I greatly appreciate. And so desire to honor and respect your time for being here. We've got a little bit of videos that we're going to watch about the science and what is microdosing and what are the benefits of it and how it can support us as humans evolving our lives. And after the video piece, then I'm going to go into a little bit of my personal journey and why microdosing found me and why I'm so passionately sharing this medicine with other people. And then we'll go into what is a Third Eye Future Butterfly program? What does that consist of? What is that offering about? And then we'll do some Q&A and then the closing. So before we get started, I would love to have all of your beautiful energy in the space. So if you feel comfortable and you would like to do that, I'm going to invite you all to come off mute one by one, and then just say your name, what state you're calling in from, and 2 feeling words, how you're feeling today, for one in general, and then maybe one based on being a part of this masterclass today. So I'll go ahead and start. I'm Azul for Love. I'm coming to you guys from Pahoa, Hawaii. And my feeling words are excitement and a little nervousness, like not completely like feeling my jam right now, but I know it's all going to flow. And thank you all for being here. And I'm going to throw the ball over to T. Oh, let me unmute people that I muted. Yep, there we go. Hang on just a second. This technology. So it won't let you unmute at all. Oh, there you are, Will.
I just unmute. It just asked me if I would like to. So I think you might have done the right thing, and then everybody should look and see if they can unmute now.
Okay, cool. Ask to unmute, and you should all be able to unmute now. Okay, cool. So we'll start with you, Will.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Will. I'm pretty close to Azul. I'm in Hawaii at Kalani. Let's see. How I feel today is great. It's so good to be here when it's like 30 degrees below zero. It's just that. And how I feel about this this seminar, I'm excited. I'm really intrigued with it. So happy to be here.
Thank you. All right, who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Awesome.
Gwen here from Kansas. I don't have heat, so I'm cold. The boiler went out and we're having problems. I feel collaborative. Been doing a lot of stuff with Christina and other things, and so I'm feeling very what's that word? Cohesive, something like that. Cohesive and together. Doesn't happen all the time.
And who would like to go next?
I'll go. I'm Jessica, and I am hailing from Southern Illinois tonight. I'm feeling very relaxed and very happy. And I've got my girl Abby over here, who's also newly joined the program. We went to OT school together. So I will pass the ball to her. You're welcome.
Hi guys, I'm Abby. Overall, for being honest, I am exhausted. I got to work at 6 a.m. today, got off, came here. But this is the best way to end a day like that. So I'm intrigued and really excited to dive into it. So glad to be here.
Thank you, ladies.
Pass the ball down to Cody.
I keep getting pop-ups, sorry.
There you are.
So I'm from Southern Illinois and just met Jessica. And yeah, kind of invited me here, and I'm really excited about it. This is something I've always been interested in, but I hadn't like taken the step to look into it much. So, and then I'm feeling very distracted, and but it's getting better, and my Zoom seems to be working better. And yeah, I'm just excited about the class.
Hi, I'm T. I'm calling from Boise, Idaho. Feelings are, I would say, a little anxious or nervous, and a little flustered from a shift I had last night. So a lot going on with me emotionally right now.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for everything that it took to get here right now today, because I know that as our Saturdays get going, sometimes it's hard to like break the flow and come to a computer screen and sit here and listen and be entertained for an hour and a half. And we'll do our best to keep it very short. So I do respect your time and I do appreciate you being here. So with that being said, I'm gonna share the screen here, and I've got a couple of videos that I did some research with over the last couple of weeks, and they were very powerful to me. And I just wanted to share the content because it's wisdom that's already out there. And these guys are way more experienced and have more information and time and skin in the game than I do at this point. I've been in this psychedelic and mushroom world since 2013. And so I'm still like, I'm a baby learning. And so I want to share the experts and the wisdom that I've gained from them. So the first person we're going to talk to or share information with is Joe Rogan's podcast with Paul Stamets.
We separated from fungi 650 million years ago. Maybe you did, dude. I know some people that are probably still. Well, basically, we are descendants of fungi. Yeah. We share more common ancestry with fungi than we do with any other kingdom. And fungi are closer to animals than they are to plants. Animals came from fungi. Oh. You and I are actually fungal bodies. I'm speaking to basically another fungal body right now. So Joe Rogan, I mean, whether you know it or not, you're basically a fungal mass. Okay. And from a cellular point of view, under the microscope, human cells, animal cells, and fungal cells are very
Sound
similar.
okay on everybody's side?
Are
they okay in here?
As the fungus does. We separated from fungi, but
I just want to make sure that the sound is okay. I have the speed up on the volume on the audio just a little bit, just so it doesn't take so long. But I just want to make sure that everybody can hear it okay on coming through the Zoom. Thumbs up if you can hear it okay. Yep. Jess, you good? You're so. Okay. You might have to do something different with your speakers, Jess. We'll try it again. I just want to make sure that it's coming through at least.
We chose the route to encapsulate our nutrients in a cellular sac, the stomach, digest our nutrients within. The fungal systems digest their nutrients externally. They exhale oxygen, inhale carbon dioxide. And their network-like design allows them to respond to catastrophe. And what I mean by that is that the mycelial networks, they're so dense in the soil, and they have literally hundreds of billions of tips. And as these tips are growing out, they tend to be polynucleate at the tips, and it allows them to upregulate new enzymes, acid sequences, et cetera. So if there's a new ecological challenge, a new food source, a new toxin, or something, these fungal networks are so have great plasticity in being able to code for new sequences from their DNA. So all you need is one of those hundreds of billions of tips to find a new enzyme to break down a toxin or a new food source. And what happens then is that information then is incorporated genetically into the mycelial network, and the mycelium then surges because it has new food, logically. And so when it surges and creates a new, what they call a sector of mycelium, we now know there's evidence that the mycelial network then that it benefits from that tip exploration and discovery. So these are like massively resilient, adaptive organisms that have a network-based design, not dissimilar from that of our neural networks, not dissimilar from the computer internet. And more that I explore this, the more I'm convinced that we will find network-based organisms throughout the cosmos, probably fungal systems. And fungal systems ultimately give rise, in our case, animals. It's more likely we'll find fungal-animal relationships all throughout the universe.
Do you think that there's some unknown way that animals are connected in some sort of a similar way as well? That if animals came from fungus, and fungus has this incredible way of communicating with each other, do you think that there's something like that in the animal kingdom that we haven't discovered?
Well, that stimulates my thought into talking about the microbiome. The mycelial landscapes networks, they don't live by themselves. They select a microbiome of bacteria and other organisms that rest upon the mantle. These fungal networks are the foundation of the food web. Well, similarly, we have a microbiome. And it's really interesting that many of the bacterial diseases that infect fungi also infect us. Our best antibiotics against bacteria come from fungi, penicillin being the obvious example. But we have found now doing next-gen sequencing, and this has never been published before, that the mycelial mats growing in the very same wood chips, in our case, that have been fermented, we had a 1,000-fold difference in the relative abundance of genera of bacteria from the very same wood chips, 2 different mushroom species planted on those wood chips, and the microbiomes that were created and selected for on the mycelium were vastly different. This really strongly supports the concept. This is a hypothesis, but quickly becoming a theory. I'll explain the difference in a minute. But this really supports the concept that I've long believed and espoused, that these mycelial networks are not just happenstance. They're creating the habitats and the flora and then ultimately the fauna that are resident within the ecosystem to guarantee the plurality and the biodiversity of the ecosystem by creating the plants that grow up, that feed the animals, the insects to create the debris fields, and then feed the mycelium for the benefit of the progeny of the mushrooms that will form thereafter. So these are deterministic organisms that are setting the stage for ecological evolution.
Do you think that they're doing this in a conscious manner?
Well, see, again, we're a victim of our consciousness, trying to define what is conscious and what is smart. And one of the best arguments I've had, my brother Bill is a super genius, he's far smarter than myself. And he was editing one of my books, Mycelium Running, How Mushrooms Can Help Save the World. And he goes, Paul, you can't say that mycelium is intelligent. And then he says, you can't say nature is intelligent. I go, wait, Bill, I respect you. But you didn't realize the hypocrisy of the statement that you're giving me. You're telling me nature is not intelligent, and yet you are born of nature, using the mind to conceive the concept, to challenge the idea that nature is not intelligent when you are part of nature. That's my case.
Yeah, that's indefensible.
So yeah, so we create language and words to describe concepts.
So you feel brother was sort of hampered by these predetermined categories that we like to put things into. You have a word, use that word. The word is very clearly defined in our ideas.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, language is code, and we haven't elaborated the code yet to elucidate the concepts that we're trying to articulate. That does not mean that just because you can't prove it's true doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Right.
So as our vocabulary increases, as our lexicon of language increases, it becomes more robust, then I think we can better describe, test, and prove that these concepts are true. But we're biologically provincial. When we think about how limited we are, we're truly Neanderthals with nuclear weapons. I mean, this is when you look at how important natural ecosystems are. Try to replicate them. They're very, very difficult to replicate due to their complexity. So I think the more that we study nature, all of us scientists subscribe to the adage that the more we study this subject, the more we realize we didn't know. And the hubris of us thinking that these things cannot occur, did not occur, will not occur, really speaks to our provincial attitude towards nature.
Okay, so just you guys are having a problem with the video over there. Is anybody else having a problem with the audio? I slowed it down. I know that it was a little fast. Just trying to make sure that we had enough time to get through all of them. Are you guys okay, Jess, on your side, since I slowed it down, or?
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was a video with it because like the dialogue was kind of just going really fast. So maybe we should tell everybody to like look up the video. I know that it's like a video between Joe Rogan and Paul Stamets, like podcast. They're in a room, but all I can see is just the butterfly background. So I wasn't sure if there was a video with this.
Oh, you guys aren't seeing the video. You're just getting audio because I'm sharing the screen. And so
yeah. So yeah, I feel like that even if the dialogue is faster, if we could just see it, like the actual video of it, we should be able to slow
it down. I just slowed it down to normal.
Okay. Yeah, I just see the butterfly on the back of the screen. So
I troubleshot this today, and I thought that it was going to show up on your guys' side, but is it too distracting not to see the video? Because I'm piecing small clips out of a 2-hour video right now. The other two would be easier to share with you guys, but
Okay, so Abby said that if you go to click to share screen,
uh-huh.
Because we're looking at just that.
we're looking at your screen, like on your actual computer, instead of like when you share the screen for do you yeah.
Like when it goes to, I don't know. It's been a while since I've had to do anything with Zoom, but when you go to share the screen, it should give you an option for like which one of your apps or tabs to choose, but
Okay. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Okay. I apologize, guys. I thought that this was gonna work better than it is.
Yeah, if you actually, since so is that like your actual laptop screen, the butterfly?
Yep.
Okay, so if you actually just, now that you have shared screen, you can go to YouTube and we'll be able to see, like you'll have to pull up the video on your computer.
I am, babe. Everything's on my computer. I'm 100% on my computer. I was playing that video from YouTube from Safari.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess, yeah, all we can see is just the butterfly with the lights. So I'm not really sure.
Okay.
View options.
Yeah, I'm looking at the, oh, wait a minute. I think I may have just found it. Okay, let's try this now. Okay, can you see the YouTube now?
No,
In the butterfly?
yeah.
Okay, well, I don't want to take any more time trying to troubleshoot this. Is it too distracting just to hear the video? I see
I
it down to normal speed.
Yeah, I think if it's at normal speed, it should be fine.
Okay. I'll keep on doing some troubleshooting on this side behind the scenes, but okay, there we are as far as back into this. Okay. Let me try a different video. Maybe it's this one too that's just sounding too weird. This one is with maps, and the speaker is Paul Austin. And he's speaking about what microdosing is, flow state, the state of flow, shares some personal examples, and also what his mission is for bringing psilocybin to the world in a safe way. So we'll try this and see if this works a little bit better.
On microdosing. B, providing education. So in other words, how do we increase psychedelic literacy? Because as we look from a transition from the medicalization of psychedelics to the eventual cultural infrastructure that needs to be built so that these altered states can be properly integrated and things don't go crazy like they went in the second wave, we need to increase psychedelic literacy because there is a distinct lack of knowledge still at large about psychedelic substances. And then the third one is building community, and generally community around psychedelics, but also specifically utilizing microdosing as a touch point for that.
So just that we have a full understanding of microdosing, I'm going to briefly explain what that is. So microdosing is basically the consumption of about 1/10 of a regular dose of a psychedelic substances. Most people are microdosing with LSD or psilocybin mushrooms, although you're also seeing it with plant medicines like iboga, ayahuasca, mescaline, peyote, some of these substances as well. And the key to microdosing is not just taking a small amount of a psychedelic, but in fact, it's having a well-structured plan to facilitate and catalyze change in your own life with this substance over usually a 30 to 90 day time period. So for example, one of the primary cultural examples of microdosing is Ayelet Waldman. So Ayelet Waldman wrote a book that was published by Knopf about 1.5 years ago. She struggled with suicide, had suicidal ideation, had tried all these different pharmaceuticals, and none had worked. So she started microdosing with LSD for 30 days and then wrote a book about it. and talked about how microdosing LSD basically saved her from suicide and significantly helped with her bipolar disorder. So that was the first example. The second example that I can give is my own personal example. So when I first started microdosing, it was in mid-2015. I microdosed 2 times a week with LSD for about 7 months. So it was much longer than your typical protocol, but I basically had no reason to stop, and I was enjoying the benefits as they were, and so I kept going with it. And what I found from that microdosing experience is that it helped with 2 main things. So first of all, it helped with this state of flow. So how many of you are familiar with what a flow state is? Fantastic. So that's exactly what Stephen and Jamie were writing about in Stealing Fire. It's how do these substances like psychedelics, but also breath work, meditation, fasting, initiate a flow state for peak performance. So that was the first thing. I was working on a lot of entrepreneurial projects, and it helped with the creativity element. Now, the second thing it was helpful for was emotional engagement in relationships. So basically, I'm someone who is more introverted. I'm going to go into Myers-Briggs real quick. So I'll do this simple, but I'm an INTP, right? And so N and T means N, I think abstractly. I always think kind of far out. T is I'm very cognitive. I'm not very heart-focused. And so what microdosing helped me to do is really open up emotionally with people in my life to really connect on a heart level rather than just an intellectual level. And so compared to macrodosing, what I found is when I started to talk to people about microdosing, that it's A, much more accessible, that it's B, much less threatening to the ego, largely, and that C, it's easier to integrate into daily life. And so a metaphor for that, I think metaphors are appropriate when we're talking about these sorts of things. When I was speaking to a mentor of mine about the difference between microdosing and macrodosing, he mentioned that, when you take a macrodose, it's like someone is shaking you to get the message. It can be very profound, it can be very insightful, but it can also be very difficult to integrate in the short term because some of these insights that come up are such a 180 from what we're usually dealing with. And so that's when we look at different modalities, for example, like microdosing, where instead of it's someone shaking you to get the message, it's more like a whisper that you can integrate over a time period of 30 to 90 days to help facilitate various insights around your own sense of self, your own sense of well-being, so that you can step into these stages of self-actualization and self-transcendence. In terms of it being more accessible and why that's important. So recent studies show that about 10% of people in the United States have tried psychedelics at some point. And that pales in comparison to something like cannabis, where, again, I don't know the exact stats offhand, but it's likely somewhere from 60 to 70%. So there are much fewer people who have tried psychedelics than cannabis. And that's one distinct difference about the medicalization to the legalization of cannabis compared to psychedelics when we go from the medicalization to the potential legalization of psychedelics. So how do you overcome that barrier? Well, one is obviously all the research that's being done. Two is because of that research, you have people, and Rick emphasized this yesterday, when they're going to these institutes, potentially, and they're getting healing, they're going back to their families, and they're talking about it. But three, the much more, for me, practical, kind of common sense way is just to reduce the barrier to entry. Make it easier for people to start to engage with psychedelic substances in a way that shows profound benefits in healing. And just by lowering that barrier to entry, it's much easier to get people to adopt the fact that psychedelics are a relevant tool to help facilitate transformation and well-being. So how do we do that then? How do we help that adoption stage? Well, we do something called, let's see if it's on here. It's not on here. Hold on. This is the first time I've presented this. We do something called research. to facilitate that, right? So we have to prove, obviously, that microdosing has these benefits that we've now heard about in anecdotal reports. So as an overview of where we're at from a microdosing research perspective, Jim Fadiman published a survey with 1,300 people. He presented that material at Psychedelic Science last year, and basically the main takeaway for that was microdosing can help with depression, potentially help with treatment-resistant depression, and, well, we're not really sure for anything else. I've also heard of a recent study that will be published very soon that came out of Toronto that shows that microdosing is helpful for creativity. I'm speaking with people right now who are based out of Vancouver. There's a new institute in Vancouver called the, I believe, British Columbia Center for Substance Use. I believe that's it. And they're looking at starting clinical research with microdosing, potentially to help ADHD, as something to help ADHD. But then we also look at how clinical research could help with depression, PTSD, addiction, some of these other things. So that, again, is the clinical model of psychedelics, which has largely been the focus of research efforts so far. What we're doing is going to be a little different. So really what we're looking at is, instead of the 15 to 20% of people who struggle with clinical diagnoses, is how do we build a narrative for the rest of our culture, that's 75 to 80% of people, so they actually understand how microdosing could be useful in an everyday context and situation. So what we're looking at is we're looking at specifically, and we're doing this first by survey-based research. So we have a large community, and basically we're starting to facilitate research by engaging with that community through our online network. And the questions that we're wondering is, what is that relationship between microdosing and autonomy, between microdosing and cognitive flexibility, between microdosing and adaptability, between microdosing and really, how does microdosing help an individual to start to take ownership over their own lives so that they can address the issues that they think are relevant to helping them to live better lives, basically. So that's the research narrative that we're looking to develop with microdosing, so that we have relevant information, not particularly for the 20% of people, but really for the larger cultural infrastructure of society. And so how do we do that, right? So this is kind of like the
So he's going to go more into that research. And then I wanted to share the next video is Michael Pollan. And this is about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And then we'll wrap this part of the masterclass up, and then we'll go into a little bit more of the bio and more details.
I guess the biggest misconception people have about psychedelics is that these are drugs that make you crazy. And we now have evidence that that does happen sometimes, but in many more cases.
Is that the volume too bad on that one? I can send the link in the chat maybe, because this one's just a short one. If you guys want to.
These are drugs that can make you.
And I lost the link here. So I'm gonna put it in the chat. And if you guys want to play it on your side so you can hear it better, this one, I know the volume's really bad. So if you click that link, then you should be able to watch it on your side, and then we'll just come back together here. I'll just go on mute. Let me know if you got the link. It worked okay. Thanks for being patient with the workaround. Everybody good?
Or more sane. If you ask people about what psychedelics or LSD, they're going to think about the 60s. Timothy Leary, this flamboyant psychology professor, studying psilocybin and LSD, and then telling everybody they should take it.
I'm very glad to be discredited. I don't want credibility I want incredibility.
The drugs kind of escaped the laboratory and were embraced by the counterculture and proved to be very disruptive to society. So you had this full-scale moral panic that eventually doomed the research. But what people don't know is that that 60s episode was really one small chapter in a much longer story. Psychedelic drugs of one kind or another have been used by different societies for thousands of years. If you compare mental health care with any other branch of medicine, infectious disease, cardiology, oncology, there have been very few achievements. Mental health treatment has not lengthened the human lifespan. So we need some new thinking. We need some new ideas, and psychedelics may well be that new idea. There's a really exciting field of research underway right now looking at psychedelics, especially psilocybin, the ingredient in magic mushrooms, to help people deal with mental illness of various kinds. Addiction, depression, obsession, and the fear and anxiety that surrounds a terminal diagnosis. And the feeling among the scientists is that these chemicals allow us to essentially reboot the brain. All those kind of deep grooves that lock us into patterns of both thought and behavior are dissolved and temporarily suspended in a way that allows us to break those patterns. We're now in a different world. The adults now, many of them have experience of psychedelics. They're not going to react in such a panicky way, I don't think. Many of the people in charge of our institutions, probably regulators at the FDA, people at the American Psychiatric Association, they have personal experience of psychedelics, and they're, I think, going to bring a more rational attitude toward them. I learned that there is a thriving underground of psychedelic therapists. These are serious professionals, but they're doing something legal. And I was able to find my way into this community, and after interviewing several of them, I found a couple people I felt comfortable enough to entrust my mind to. This isn't doctors giving you a pill and sending you out into the world. You are, for a period of 4 or 5 hours, in a room that's decorated like a kind of cozy den or study. You're lying down on a couch. You have eye shades on and headphones, which are playing a very carefully curated playlist to make you go inside, to have an internal experience. And you're with 2 guides at all times. Some people are put in touch with childhood trauma. Some people have encounters with death, and I mean, it can be very dark. But with the help of the guides, you use that material and try to understand it. So after the session, you always come back the next day and have what's called a period of integration, where the guides, who are therapists, trained therapists, help you interpret what happened and figure out ways to put it to good use in changing your life. My best journey was a fairly high-dose psilocybin journey that I had with a guide. What was stunning about it was I did have an experience of complete ego dissolution. I reached a point where I myself just kind of fell apart into these little pieces of paper, Post-its, that just got scattered to the wind, and I saw myself, and I know that sounds weird, who's the I that saw myself, but there is this split in consciousness that happens, but I saw myself scattered to the wind, but I was all right with it. And I learned a really important lesson in that moment, which was that I'm not identical to my ego.
Just let me know when you guys are complete. All done? Thank you for your patience. That looked so much different in my head when I was planning everything today. I apologize for all the tech stuff. So what I'd love to go into next is a little bit about why I'm personally so passionate about this and how microdosing has impacted my life and working with psychedelics and integration, and why I'm now currently feeling of service to offer this to other people. I'm just going to highlight some of the gems of the journey of wisdom, and that starts with losing trust in humanity at the age of 5 at a Christian school, being molested by 2 Christian school teachers, parents really kind of not really clued in, oldest of 8 kids, lots going on. Fast forward into high school, still not really connecting with myself, knowing my worthiness, and just trying to find love and acceptance. Finding myself into another situation of being taken advantage of by a boyfriend. Fast forward into my 20s, having another experience where my body was taken advantage of when I was on alcohol and prescription drugs. Back up high school, I had a neck injury, and that brought me into the opportunity to play with prescription painkillers. And at 19, and not really having, the frontal part of your brain isn't even developed into your early 20s. So sent off to college, 19, handful of Vicodin, chronic migraines and pain. Not sure how to navigate, one, being away from family dynamics and making my own decisions as a young adult, and two, now being under the influence of opiates for the very first time. Migraines that would last up to sometimes a whole week, where I couldn't even leave my room, and just missing a lot of school, not doing well as a student, falling behind. Fast forward to working in corporate America with AT&T, first time as a young adult, understanding what it means to not be in poverty, to actually have money in my bank account for the very first time, after seeing my parents struggle on food stamps and my dad being a special education teacher and the sole finance individual in our home. Those trials and struggles were real, and having money at that young of an age with prescription drugs, with chronic pain, in a relationship only because I was desperately seeking some type of affection and love from another human, and not really understanding what it means to be in a relationship, my first adult relationship at 23. And so I was really set on a course of I was basically trying to kill myself. I did not want to live in this body. I did not feel safe in this body anymore. And when you don't know how to feel safe in your body and feel home, and you're given substances that you don't know how to responsibly navigate, and responsibilities that have never been on your plate before, alone and away from home, can be a really dark, scary spot. And so I went through quite a bit from early childhood all the way up through my 30s. Moving to LA was probably the best thing I could have ever done for myself, but also pretty scary. Made a lot of bad choices with people under the influence. Not pills anymore. At least I was done with the pills, but I still held on to the alcohol for a little bit. And I met Isaac in 2013. Or no, I'm sorry, 2003. And he was like the human in my life that was that tipping point, that saw who I was, saw my potential, and saw where I was at, and knew if someone didn't step in, I might not be here any longer. I was in LA first couple months, was promised a job working on a film as a makeup and hair person, and the film lost funding and it was delayed for about 2 or 3 months. And I also had 2 girlfriends that were staying with me in this apartment that the director found for us and put us in, and we couldn't pay the rent. And so we were all like scrambling, trying to figure out, how the hell do we do this in LA? Where do we come up with $2,000 in rent when we're supposed to be working on this film and we're not sure when it's going to start? So we all kind of scrambled, and I took on the idea of maybe doing sensual massage could be a way of making money quick. You can make $300 an hour. I'd make half of that. They said no sex. I gullibly, stupidly believed them. One night of complete horror, my only night that I ever worked for this company. I'm lucky to still be here. The second appointment definitely was some type of scary scene from a horror movie. And if I didn't have my wits about me and got myself out of there, I know my body would have been sold into sex trafficking. There's no doubt. It had all the key indicators. So I definitely was in a dark spot, probably all the way up until 2011. And I finally came back to LA after living in Miami for a couple of years with Isaac, my second husband. We decided to separate. It wasn't working. And I found medical cannabis for the first time. And I wasn't working full time, so I had a lot of free time on my hands. And so I made it my mission, as I was getting back on my feet, getting a car, getting a better job, getting my own apartment. I was going to focus 100% on my art and healing my body and getting off the alcohol, getting off the Advil and Tylenol, all of the things that I was using, and I'm out. And I didn't have a car, so I was riding my bike to work every day. And so just a lot of different shifts happening, also going celibate, breaking everything off with Isaac, and just finding myself for the first time as a young adult. And at this point, I'm probably 35. So fast forward through that, I kind of stumbled through a couple years of, changing my vibrational frequency of where I was at in the victim mode, expecting people to take care of me, expecting society to take care of me, and not knowing how to do that for myself. And so once I finally found that first apartment by myself, 2013, it was my own. I wasn't sharing it with anybody. I had a whole art studio set up in my living room. It was for the first time I felt safe in a home space for probably a couple years. And through that experience, just raising my vibration, calling in different types of friends, calling in different opportunities. I met individuals introduced me to the MITT, Mastery in Transformational Training program. And that catapulted me into so many different opportunities of growth and expansion, to see my story in a different way, to relate to my past story in a different way, to see the wisdom in what I experienced instead of the victimness of it. That also then led me to the opportunity to be introduced to psychedelics. I did my first ayahuasca ceremony in June of 2013. And through that, and San Pedro and MDMA and cannabis, I started my journey of unwinding and untangling all of the past traumas that my body had been subjected to. And it was only till that point that I could start feeling safe in my body again and start appreciating the life that I've been given, and seeing that I was here for a very significant reason. And that if I gave up now, I'd be giving up on a lot of other people, because what I had gone through, I know other people would be going through or had gone through. And growing up super uber religious up until 19, that savior complex was kind of embedded into my DNA from my parents. So reprogramming that from like, it's not my job to save anybody. I can't do that. It's not why I'm here. And shifting that mindset to living the life of being fully present and in love with the person that I am and the opportunity that I've been given, and sharing that with others, sharing the agape love, sharing the aloha love. And so there's so many different dynamics of this story. There's so many different facets of it. I can't share it all. But last April, I left the island for a couple months to go stay with my parents. I didn't realize how powerful that choice was going to be and how many timelines I was going to get to close. I also didn't realize that I had forgotten how bad the seasonal depression is in the Midwest, and how impacted I was by that as a child, and how that still impacted me. And so mid-April, 2 weeks in of being there, I was suicidal. And I have the tools, I have the skills, I've been living this life for a very long time. Something like this shouldn't throw me off my game. So I thought. I had met Jefferson, the individual that has started Carte Blanche, in March. earlier last year. And so I called him and I was like, I need that supplement sooner than I thought. Can you ship it to me? He did. 1 week in, each day I did a baseline assessment. I checked in with myself and I could feel the subtle shifts happening each day. 3rd day, definitely more significant. 5th day, I definitely knew that I wasn't completely out of the woods yet, but that I was in a much healthier state, that my mind was back, that I had, that everything that I knew to be true of who I am and my belief systems were coming back online. It was almost like my brain was sabotaged, or that part of my knowingness was gone. And so working with this supplement since April of last year, and then sharing it with clients that I met when I went to the Midwest in May to the festival where I met Gwen and Jessica, I've been sharing the powerful benefit of the supplement part of this microdose, and that is 80% of it is Ayurvedic herbs that are designed to heal the mind, and the adaptogenic mushroom that is also there with the lion's mane to help rewire the mind. What I have noticed personally and anecdotally from my clients this last year is that the microdosing protocol that I worked with before, that I was creating just straight psilocybin and lion's mane, would create almost this kind of roller coaster effect of feeling sensation on the psilocybin. And so when they would start their journey of their protocol at the beginning of the week, that 100 milligram of psilocybin and lion's mane, their body would respond. They would feel an energetic flush or some type of energetic sensation from that. As weeks would go on, obviously that's not going to be as profound or prolific. So they were asking, well, can I take more medicine? I'm not feeling it the way that I was. And we also weren't doing as much tracking and coaching at that point as well. So I started realizing, okay, there's some key things that are missing here, that these clients are giving me their information and I'm seeing where I'm missing the point for them. I'm missing the full gamut of everything that's needed here. And that's one, the community support, being accountable to each other, showing up every week and sharing our experiences and being witnessed and seen. And then also having a substance or a supplement that is not going to create an actual physical body high experience. So experiencing the carte blanche, realizing that it wasn't that I was feeling a high, it was that my mind was actually working more effectively and more efficiently. Yes, there was more joy, there was more creativity, but it wasn't the same psychedelic high feeling or flutter that I would get in my body from doing the other type of microdosing. And being an addict and coming from that world, it's very important to me that I'm not creating something that's going to just take the place of something else. This isn't like we're chasing a high. I don't desire to be a part of a conversation where people are on, say, Adderall, and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to get off of that, but I'm going to go do microdosing mushroom because there's a different high there. And I feel elevated and I feel different. So it's important to create an experience that is the subconscious changes that are subtly happening and tracking that. And that's why I've chosen to go with a carte blanche and work with a substance that has the Ayurvedic herbs in it. I give you a little bit more of the backstory about that, just because there are a lot of people that will say, hey, I have microdosed, and I'll get that same type of story. Well, I had to keep on taking more and more because I started getting a residual buildup of the psilocybin in my body. And so that's why I felt like it's very important to heal the mind first and then rewire it, and not to be chasing that psychedelic high, but chase the, oh my goodness, look how more effective my brain is working. Look how more effective I feel in my life. The subtle changes are catapulting into my daily life and changing multiple aspects of my experience. So that brings us into the evolution of third eye microdosing. We've been in curation and evolution since 2019. And the first couple of years, I really wasn't offering or didn't have a program or a coaching package available. I was making the medicine and sharing it and getting testimonies and helping people. They would call me and I was coaching, but it wasn't in a container or in a agreement where there was structure. And so I learned the hard way that sometimes that's not the easiest way to support people, because there wasn't the accountability, there wasn't the structure of, oh, I know I can call Azul because I have a 2-hour appointment with her. This is my time with her. Like that understanding of, she's got my back, she understands what I'm working on, and she's going to be giving me and sharing with me the resources and tools that supported her and that has supported her other clients. The other piece was the community aspect. I would get, when people would call me for support, they were like, I just feel so alone. I can't really talk to my partner about this, or I can't talk to my friends at work about this. I just don't feel like I have anybody that is also going through this that I can share this with and also be supported by. And so that was the other piece of like motivating me to create a program that would have multiple aspects to support the human, from accountability buddies to eventually small groups to the one-on-one coaching with a support coach, and then also the weekly sharing, and then also having the opportunity to have coaching on the weekly calls as well. So this has been in curation now for over a year with the program. Jess and Gwen just graduated this January, and they joined the program last July. And it was a 4-month program, but it just ended up extending, and we really loved the extra time together. And so as I was rolling this program out again, I felt like I'm going to try something different. That's kind of how this business has been for me, is like very organic and just showing up. Okay, well, here's a need. What can I do to fill that gap and create a resource for that need? And so every time I offer this, it might be a little bit different, but it's always to elevate and be even more responsible in what my clients are asking for and needing each enrollment session. And there's not really a hard enrollment. People join periodically throughout the whole 6 month. It's nice to join with this group of people because you kind of have that camaraderie, and the small group aspect and the accountability buddies is easier to navigate that way too. But there's a lot of different dynamics that we can create within this. I don't want this to be hard lines. I want it to be a circle where there's a lot of options, and it can be very custom and meet you where you're at. Because as we're going through the opportunity of rewiring our brains, that can by itself be a little uncomfortable, as well as doing your daily life and all of the adulting responsibilities. So I don't want this to be another burden. I want this to be an added value, to be an asset, to be a resource, to be a plug in when you're like, man, I just need to go watch a video. I just need to go connect with somebody on the group. Like having the opportunity to tap in when you need to outside of the weekly structures that we've created is another resource. So that way you don't feel alone on this journey. I did my first microdosing journey by myself, and I didn't have a coach. I didn't have any support. I just kind of was like, I just know I need to do this and I'm going to figure it out. And I wish that I would have had someone create a program like this that I could have joined. And so as you join, or as you're in, by Gwen, we love you. If you choose to join and join in on the community, I'm always asking for suggestions and ideas to how to make the weekly calls more exciting and entertaining and inspiring. We will have at least one a month, but I want to have guest speakers. I already have lined up a hypnotherapist, someone that works with NLC, a couple other modalities that I'm not as versed on. And so I want to bring people in to share their genius with the community and tribe, and just bring, more value here. So the program that we have offered, that we're currently offering, is called the Future Butterfly. It's a 6-month program. And currently we are offering accountability buddies. So you have a one-on-one accountability buddy that we're still figuring out if you're going to have that same accountability throughout the whole 6 months, or if we might change throughout the months. That can be something that we can all decide together as a community. And then we have a weekly call, which will also decide based on everybody's schedules. We'll try and pick a weekly evening or a weekday or weekend, whatever works with the majority of the community's scheduling. And then I do my best to record all of those, so those replays will be available for you. And then you have your one-on-one check-ins with me or a support coach every month. And the support coaches will be coming on probably towards the end of this 6-month program. So you'll get introduced to Jessica and Gwen and Martin and Ashley. And I think there might be one other that might be joining us. And then also the resources on the website, which are a baseline assessment that we fill out every month at the beginning of every month. So that way, you know, okay, month 1, this is how I started the program. And then the second month, okay, this is how I am after that first 30 days of supplement and coaching. Now, second month, where am I at? Where's my baseline? We want to track it every month at the beginning of every month, because sometimes you'll shift your protocol or how much you're taking or your days. So it's good just to have a good idea of like, oh, that's how I felt when I was doing it 5 days on, 2 days off, and I was doing cognitive all 5 days. And then let's see what else. The coaching, the life strategy is in that. As far as the coaching part, I'll elaborate a little bit of that. When you're working with me, I don't coach from this human. This is just the shell that I get to use. I actually am a channel, and what I have been gifted and have the ability to do, it's called clear cognitive, is that I will get knowing sensations. So as we're in a dialogue talking about your goals or your intentions, I'll get information either from your higher power, from source, from creator, from angels. I don't always know where the source of information is coming from, and I don't narrate it. I just let it come through me. So sometimes it may not always make sense. And sometimes I don't even remember what I've shared with you, but 99% of the time, the response that I get back is either shock, amazement, or tears, because someone is getting information that they know that they didn't tell me, that they thought nobody possibly even knew, and it's what their soul needed to hear in that moment. I don't understand it. I'm still navigating it myself, and I feel very honored and humbled and blessed to be able to show up and help people and be of support and service. And there's absolutely no ego here. And it's a complete invitation. And it's something that I know that we all as humans have this opportunity and have this gift. Some of us are more aware of it or more open to it than others, but we all are given this gift. We can all share the information because we're all connected. We're like the mycelium. The mycelium network is a great representation of what our minds look like. And the mycelium is connected the entire planet, all of the trees, all of the root systems. So we're all connected. We are all from, I think Paul Stamets was onto something when he was saying that we are that the mycelium and the human is very closely related. So I like to play in the metaphysical world of energetic resonance and frequency, vibration and attraction. And so what we think, what we speak is a vibrational frequency of what we're putting out into the world and what we're creating. And so microdosing, the coaching, this community is an opportunity to support a human while they're going through the process of rewiring their mind, rewiring and reprogramming the past that is no longer working for them, rewiring the program that they received as children that they had to use just to survive trauma. If your life isn't looking like what you want, then it's the opportunity to look at, well, I'm the common denominator. I'm the one that's creating this vibrational frequency. So what do I get to shift within myself? What belief systems do I get to change in order to have a different reality? To love myself, to feel safe in this body. If we can't feel safe in this body, how are we ever going to navigate this world grounded and manifesting that which we desire? And it is our birthright, and we are worthy of feeling safe in our body. Every human gets to feel safe in the vessel that they came into experience this life as a human. And so that's been my personal journey, feeling like that I belong here, that I get to take up space, that I get to be seen. And I know I'm not alone in this. And that's why I'm here, to be of service, to support individuals through this journey. So not only do I work with the microdosing, but I also do one-on-one and small group private sessions for macrodosing ceremonies with certain plant medicines and integration. And the integration is going to be the opportunity for you to do that deep dive, for you to connect with yourself, for you to have the opportunity to create your daily rituals of connection, getting grounded, feeling safe in your body before you go out into the world, and taking care of yourself. So I offer a lot of self-care, self-love, intuition, intuitive, integrative tools, from breath work, tapping exercises, writing prompts, toning, sound baths. There's so many different things that we can use that can help shift the vibrational frequency and help purge the energy out of our system that's no longer serving us, and that's blocking us from our greatness, and that's keeping our vibrational frequency at a lower frequency, that so we're not attracting what we know that we want and what we are here to deserve to receive. So just trying to think if I've covered everything in the program. I think I've got it all. I've got all the details there. I'll open the floor up to Q&A. So if you need help getting unmuted, just let me know. And then actually, before we go into Q&A, I'm going to have Jess share. She's just graduated in January. She's one of our support coaches and responsible for inviting several people into this new program. So Jess, why don't you share a few words about your experience and why somebody would join this program?
Oh, well, so I can start off with what I was experiencing before I met you, and then I can go into how the program literally changed the trajectory of my life in the last 6 months, and the transformation process has been one of the most realistic human experiences I've ever had. Before going into the program, I had just recently moved back 2 years prior, right before the pandemic broke out, back to Southern Illinois from San Jose, California. I recently had just left a pretty toxic, almost marriage. It basically went from a lot of verbal abuse to physical abuse, and I just did not acknowledge my worthiness. I really truly felt like the reason why I was going through that was just because that was the love I thought that I deserved at the time. And I always say that he wasn't the love of my life. He was just the toughest lesson of my life. And going into when the pandemic had just hit, during that time period when I was in California, I was taking prerequisites for OTA school. And I was just going to come back to Southern Illinois and tuck myself out in the woods. And all of a sudden the world shut down. I just got in my own place again and tested into OTA school, ended up getting into the program, and basically just lived what I called my dark soul of the night. I literally probably drank myself to sleep every night. And I was also in school. I don't even know how I did it, but pre-med school, congratulating myself every time I thought that I accomplished something. I just felt that I could have wine. I'm like, oh, I wrote this paper, let's have wine. Oh, I passed this test, let's have wine. Or I'm feeling super shitty about myself, let's have wine. And I just realized that I was just suppressing so many things of emotions that I thought that I was actually feeling like that I was healing in some way, just like being tucked out in the woods and going to school and partying and just all over the place, really. Ended up 2022 rolls around, and I am like on the brink of losing my shit. I mean, I went to the doctor and found out a lot of news about my health and the stress and the anxiety and the depression, and my brain just literally, I drank so much alcohol that I suppressed all of the serotonin in my brain and just basically spiraled out and just got put on SSRI medication and was just newly graduated. And then I went from like being extremely super busy to like not being busy, and I was just all over the place. And long story short, my girlfriend Deanna, who is a local of Southern Illinois, lives in Washington, and she pulled up to my house with all of her camping gear and hula hoops, and she was like, all right, bitch, I'm taking you to Reconnection. And I was like, all right. I was like, let's go to this festival. I'm going to disconnect to reconnect. I'm going to try to get like my mind right, my heart right on things, and just, you know, try to feel. And went into it wanting to go into it sober too. I was like, I was actually kind of shocked. It was the first festival that I hadn't gotten shit-faced at, which is a huge thing for me at the time and has been. But I remember my friend was like, all right, we got to go see Wookiefoot play. I'm like, all right, Wookiefoot. And we're like walking behind stage, and there's this large tent to the right, and I see a chalkboard that says mimosas and a woman with bright pink hair who was just glowing. And I was just getting sucked into her. Like, I was just like, what's going on? The universe was literally pulling me towards her. And she just like had this wide brim hat on, and I just like sat down, and she looks up and she's like, hello. And it was just like instant. Next thing you know, it was like 4 hours later, my friend had left. I didn't even realize. But we were just like instant connection. And that's where Azul and I really started about part of my field. I went to school for occupational therapy. It was a lot of mental health concepts, and it gave me it really bridged the gap for understanding bridging the gap between the subconscious and the conscious, and integrating some type of microdosing and plant medicine. And I had been talking about nootropics and mycelium for the last couple of years, and been studying Paul Stamets for quite some time. And it was just so bizarre that, you know, coming out of the therapy world and trying to figure out how to integrate plant medicine and also help improve quality of life and mental health, I end up meeting Azul. So that right there just like set the precipice of really actually taking the deep dive in, going through life in a way more sober way, just celebrating sobriety pretty much all the time now. And not on any SSRI medication. Having this plant medicine really helped me by creating like the new neural pathways in my brain. It helps me just get off the medication, and with the integration of life coaching and the ebook, all of it together just really actually helped me to feel more present in my body and actually experience those emotions, and then get the tools and resources on how to actually let go of those things that no longer serve you, you know, essentially, because your body does keep the score. And just having this plant medicine, it's something I believe in, and I'm a huge advocate when it comes to things that I feel that are real, that could, you know, potentially change humanity and shift their mindset in a whole new way. It's really powerful stuff. And not just having the life coaching, but just being a part of the community, you know, and just being a part of, you know, being able to meet Gwen and go to her women's retreats, and, you know, coinciding with other people, and just having like-minded souls come together. It's magic. It's really awesome. So I'm just really happy to be here. I still do about 5 days on, 2 days off, and huge advocate of the cognitive blend. And definitely, if I ever want to stay hyper focused or feel that I'm like needing to focus in on one thing, the high performance, I've been playing with more. So yeah, it's been awesome. I feel really great in my body every day, genuinely. So it's good to feel present. And right now I'm actually experiencing more of the flow state, the integration. Everything happened really magically after the program ended. It was just like manifestation whiplash. And now I'm just like in the flow state, and things are wonderful. And I definitely just gonna love sharing this with other people and helping them improve their quality of life in any way. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Jess. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'd like to open it up for any questions. Jump on it in.
I don't really have any.
Okay, no questions. Okay, well, if there's anything that I can share more with you guys about the program or anything specific about the supplement, just let me know. And thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate your time and energy and showing up.
Oh,
And
wait, is this the end?
well, yeah, it's kind of the Q&A part and wrapping up.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready for the next part. Yeah, so I have some questions.
Okay.
So I didn't read a whole lot about it. I've been super busy. So what is the class? It sounds really awesome. So far, it sounds like I would like to join. How do I do that? What,
Okay, cool.
and kind of what is it even?
Okay, so I'll give you
You said a
more
lot about it.
more constructs around, like, because I did kind of throw it in with my bio and more information, so I'll get you more specifics. So basically, it's a 6-month container, and it's a group dynamic and one-on-one coaching. So you get weekly access in a coaching environment and sharing environment on Zoom, and that is open to anybody that's a part of this program. And then one-on-one coaching every month, which is a deep dive with me or support coach. Right now, I'm doing all of the coaching. Jess is in training, so is Gwen, and Gwen's Martin, and also Ashley. So they'll probably start working and supporting clients towards the end of your 6-month program. And you also get an accountability buddy. We're figuring out the structure on that, what that looks like, whether you choose that or we choose that for you, if you want to keep it for the full 6 months, or if you want to change partners throughout the 6 months. We're going to figure out that flow. And then what I provide as far as resources on the website, I have the baseline assessment, the writing prompts, and I think there's a third form. I'm not remembering it right now. I also have a ebook that I've created. It's in the process of becoming better. I put one version now, I'm getting the feedback, and now I'm doing an edit to make it better. So you'll have an ebook that'll be available. It's a goal setting, habit setting, intention setting, and then a journal. So you have, blank pages to do the work with. And then, so the weekly calls, the one-on-one coaching, the accountability, all of the forms on the website, the supplement. The supplement is very cost effective when you start thinking about nootropics. When I started playing in that world, I was spending $150 for a 30-day supply. And I didn't know if I was going to like it, if I was going to be able to take it, if it was going to be too much for my system. And so I'm really grateful that Jefferson has found an amazing price point that is very affordable. The cognitive retail price is $38 a month, and that's a full 30-day supply. And then the high performance is more of, I'll go into a little bit of that now. Both of them have 80% of them are Ayurvedic herbs like turmeric, DMAE, I haven't looked at these words for a while, Bacopa, Hypozin A, and I might be pronouncing these incorrectly, ginkgo biloba, and lion's mane turmeric. So it's got a lot of amazing anti-inflammatory healing herbs for the brain. And then the adaptogenic mushroom for the cognitive is 75 milligrams, non-psychoactive. And then on the high performance, and I know I see your face, it's the way he's extracting it, and the mushroom itself. If you Google this mushroom, it is not scientifically proven to have psychoactive properties to it. It has not had enough studies done on it. So it's kind of a gray area, but it does not give the body a psychoactive response. You will not feel like that flutter if you've ever taken a regular microdose. Sometimes if you're sensitive, you can kind of feel something. This is just all in the brain. So the cognitive is what a lot of people use on the daily, 5 days on, 2 days off, because it's the lower potency, and I believe it's the Hypozin A that's in the high performance that creates that hyper focus for the mind. Personally, I'm super sensitive. I've tried Adderall. It's not a good idea for my body. So I thought, well, maybe I could do the high performance. I've used it in settings where I've in front of the computer have to do like taxes or something, and it helped. But then I also did it when I was at work, and I'm like, oh no, cannot be around people on this. It is not good for me. So you have to really listen to your body. So the first week is kind of discovery, or the first 2 weeks, we're figuring out what works best for you, what your formula is. I recommend getting both just to see for the first round. When you order your medicine, your first order, you can get up to 30% off.
What do you mean both? So if you order, you don't try them at the same time. So
Well, they're two different potencies, and they're basically the same, except for one additional Ayurvedic herb in the high performance. So if in a week you were like, I want to do the cognitive 3 days, and I'm going to have 2 days where I'm like, I need my brain to be laser focused. I'm going to be writing something. I need to be in front of my computer. Those 2 days could be the 2 days that you do the high performance.
Okay, got it.
So it's just you can create your own protocol too, because like my brother does 1 day on, 2 days off. He does more of the Paul Stamets protocol because he's been on the program for 6 months now, and his body doesn't need as much. So you work with your body and you listen to your body, what is going to be best for you that day. So I work with you on figuring that out if you aren't familiar with how to do that already. And then on the discounts on that, if you do the subscription part of the ordering on Carte Blanche, you can get up to 30% off on your first month's order, and you can order as many as you want. I'm not offended. I get a little bit of a commission. I'm on an affiliate program, which you're all welcome to join as well whenever you want. So I've had clients that have ordered 10 bottles their first round so they can get 30% off. After that first month, then it goes down to 20% for a lifetime. And then let's see, I think that's the dynamics of the program and the container offering. The program is $222 a month for 6 months, or paid in full. I'm offering a discount of $380 off. So that would bring it down to $1,111. So if you want to pay it in full, you get a great discount. If you want to pay month to month, then it's only $222. And I go through Stripe, so it's a secured auto payment process. So that way we don't have to worry about it. It's a secure pay portal that a lot of businesses use. And so I use that on my website. And yeah, I think that's all the details. Was there any other questions or anything I didn't?
So I would have to all right. So I'd have to talk about all of the issues that I have and how can these mushrooms help, and what am I going for? But I'm pretty sure I'm wanting to do the class and the 6-month program.
Okay.
And so I think we'll probably go through a lot of that in the program. I don't want to take up a huge section now.
Sure, definitely. Yeah. What we'll do is what I like to do with everybody is have a one-on-one call with you, like a discovery call, find out what your concerns are. Just make sure that this would be a good fit for you. I know that you're excited and you seem like you would like to do it, but I want to do my due diligence and be of integrity and make sure that this is the right best thing for you. So just knowing your medical history, what you're going through, anything that would be important that I would need to know, then we'll cover that one-on-one, and then we can go forward from there. So I've got time next week. I'll just make sure that I get your phone number from Jess, and then I'll get in touch with you and we can set up a phone call.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cody. I'm excited to dive deeper with you and see if this is a good fit.
Me too. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions or any other support I can provide before we wrap it up for tonight? Good. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Jess. I appreciate you, Jess. I want to lift Jess up here for a moment. She has been the master inviter. She's been sending so many people the information. I've gotten so many phone calls and messages. So I just really appreciate you. And I know you're super busy, so I really appreciate the time that it takes to invite somebody and share your story and how vulnerable you've been with your friends and your tribe. And I see you, and I'm so, so proud of you, sister. And thank you so much. I appreciate all that you've done. And T, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you, sister, for showing up. I know it's been a long week for you too. So thanks for being a part of this. And Will, thank you so much. I appreciate your support and showing up and being a part of this and through all of the tech issues and everything. It means a lot to me. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks for having this.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to be offering these once a month, like info type calls for people. So if you know of somebody or someone randomly says, hey, do you know anybody that does the microdosing thing? I would love the share if you feel comfortable in my qualifications and what I'm offering. I'm on both social media as Azul for Love. I've got a Facebook page now for Third Eye. So if you want more information to share with your friends, I would be very honored and very blessed for that opportunity. So thank you guys.
Great.
Awesome. Well, have
Thank
an
you.
amazing rest of your Saturday, guys. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.